Hello and welcome back to the Cracking FAANG YouTube channel. Today we're doing a question for those who are just starting out on their Leetcode journey, 1550, 3 consecutive ones. Given an integer array, return true if there are 3 consecutive odd numbers in the array, otherwise return false. Let's look at a very basic example. We have the array 2, 6, 4, 1. Obviously there's only one odd number here, which is the 1, so there's no 3 consecutive odds. Then we have this array here. Let's see if there's 3 consecutive ones. We have 1. The next one is a 2, so that doesn't work. Then 34, that doesn't work. 3, that's an odd, but then the next one is a 4, so that doesn't work. 5 is an odd, 7 is an odd, and 23 is an odd. So we have found our 3 consecutive odds, and we can return true. So this question, very simple. You don't have to do anything crazy. Don't have to know any kind of complex algorithms. All we're gonna do is every time we see an odd, we're gonna keep a count of it. If we see 3 odds in a row, then we return true. Otherwise, if we get through the end of the array and we haven't found 3 consecutive odds, then we can simply return false. So every time we see an odd, we'll increment a counter. Every time we then see an even, we'll set that counter back down to 0. If the counter ever reaches 3, then we are done. So let's code that up. So first thing we need to do is basically just create a variable to store our consecutive odds. So we'll say consecutive odds, and obviously this is 0. So now we want to check every single number in our array. So we're going to say for num in array. What we're going to do is we're going to see if the number is odd. So we're going to say if num modulo 2 equals 1. So if you don't already know, doing modulo 2 on any number, if that value that after doing modulo 2 is 0, then that means the number is even. And if it's 1, then that means it's odd, because any number divided by 2 will always give you a full number with no remainders. So any even number, sorry. So if this number is odd, then obviously we've seen an odd. So we're going to say consecutive odds. We're going to add 1 to it. Otherwise, we need to reset that variable down to 0. So we're going to say consecutive odds equals 0. Now, what we can do is we can check if consecutive odds equals 3, then we found a solution and we can simply return true. Otherwise, we will basically just continue to the next number in the loop. If we get through all of the array and we haven't returned true at this point, then that means that there are no 3 consecutive odds. Therefore, we can simply just return false. Okay, let's run this, make sure we didn't make any mistakes. Looks good, submit. And why is it taking so long? Okay, cool. Accepted. Perfect. So before we go, as you know, last thing we want to do is just talk about the time and space complexity. Super simple. All we're doing here is checking every single number of the array. In the worst case, there's not any consecutive odds, or they'll be at the very end of the array, which means that we'll have to check the entire array. So our time complexity here is big O of n, where n equals to number of items in array. For the space complexity, all we do is we have this consecutive odds, which is just storing an integer value. So because of this, we don't use any extra space, and it's just big O of 1. So hopefully you found that useful. Sometimes it's nice to just do these easy questions for people who are just getting started and want to kind of build their algorithmic thinking skills. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, why not leave it a like and a comment? Helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. Otherwise, subscribe for more videos, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.